What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be working on the 89 4Runner again. We're going to be moving on up here to the front shock hoops, adding a little bit more bracing, some gussets here. I have 4 of these gussets here. We're going to trim them to fit right here in between the shock hoop and the frame. They're going to go in like this. I'm going to notch the end of it so it does have a little lip that goes over the top still, but it's gonna slide down the frame a little bit, so it's gonna sit probably down like right here. There will still be a little bit of a gap, but it will brace it together, and it will add a little bit more side-to-side support. And then we're gonna do the same thing over here on the front. We're gonna sneak it under the steering. It's gonna go something like that. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna notch them, and I'm gonna make them fit, and then we're gonna weld them in on both sides. Alright, so here we go. I have the notch cut. It's gonna go ahead and it's gonna sit right in here, right on that lip, and it's gonna run up the side of the tube there, and it's gonna add inner support and a little bit of front to back support with it being at that 45-degree angle. So I'm gonna go ahead and burn that in. So another quick thing I like to point out is on stuff like this, when you're gonna be only getting one side of the weld, you wanna go ahead and put a bevel. I don't know if you can see that very well, but you taper the edge so when you weld it gets down into the bottom. That way you can get a nice solid strong weld down all the way down that piece. Like I have this side beveled a little bit both ways because it will be laying against the frame, and I wanna make sure that weld gets nice and deep on this thicker material. Alright, so here we are. We have some ATP or AP or ATP rock sliders. They're prefabbed. They came with the 4Runner when we picked it up. So what we did was we just tacked them in place. We trimmed them to fit according to our diamond plate and our 4-link plates, just minor adjustments. And they fit like perfectly. They clear the door with room to spare. But yeah, these things are nice. So we got them tacked in place on both sides. Let me show you the other side here. These are very similar to the ones that I built for the 4Runner and the Samurai a couple months back. They just have this little kick out in the back so you can climb up into the back seat here. So I'm gonna go ahead and fully weld those in. And then it also comes with these 6 90-degree frame gussets. We're gonna trim to fit those, and then we're gonna weld them in, and the rock sliders will be done. All right, today we are going to be installing an anti-rock off-road sway bar kit on the 4Runner here. So here's all the pieces laid out. Here's the steel arms. They are 1/2 inch or so thick. You got the torsion bar, torsion tube, the axle brackets for your adjustable rods here. Got your bushings that the torsion bar rides on inside the tube, and then all necessary hardware. Alright, so first of all, what we did, we pulled the coilovers out, pulled the springs off. That way we could go ahead and cycle the suspension. We went ahead and we lowered it all the way down to full bump to where the tires were starting to kiss the fenders here, just to make sure that when we installed our sway bar, it was up above where the links would be at full bump. Then we went ahead and we marked our holes and we hole sawed through them all the way through on both sides. And then we're gonna be able to slide our 1 3/4 tube through there, center it, and then we're gonna be able to weld it in place. And then we're able to slide in the torsion tube, the bushings, and bolt everything together, and then we can figure out tab placement after we cycle it a couple times and make sure that everything is gonna clear back here in the back as well. So we're gonna do a little bit of cleanup on these holes, and then we're gonna slide our tube in, which I had just prepped for welding, and then we are going to start assembling everything and test fitting. Alright, so as you can see, now we have our holes all drilled. You can see here the pipe goes all the way through the frame, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna weld inside and out on the pipe on both sides, and then we're gonna start assembling it all together. We have to make sure that the pipe is perfectly centered and the same amount of lip is hanging out both sides of the frame. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna center that now. We're gonna get it welded in, let it cool off, and then we're gonna put the sway bar together. Right there. Here you can see all our clearances. But most importantly, let me get under here. You can see the clearance with the sway bar here. So that's gonna work out really nicely. Everything has good clearance. Okay, so after you have the tube fully welded in, you get a rubber mallet and you hammer your bushings in. I like to put a little bit of bearing grease inside and out, and then you slide your torsion tube through so it's centered, as you can see here. So I'm gonna show you around here on the other side. Then you can slide on your arm. See here, mine needs to go in just a little bit more still. But then you slide on your arm, and then you have, this goes on the end with the screw in the middle, so it sits like that. Okay, and then you also have this bolt which runs through there and bolts down there, which clamps it and holds it onto the torsion bar. So let's go ahead and throw this together real quick. So as we are doing the sway bar, we also did pull all the links. We are going to be prepping them all to be fully welded. Sorry, hopefully you guys can hear me. We are going to be beveling the edge all the way around, and then about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch up, we're going to be drilling a hole on each side so we could do some of that welds. Show you guys real briefly here. These are the links. So you bevel the edge, you can get some weld down deep inside there. And then we are going to be drilling some holes and welding some rosette welds and fully welding them all the way around. We are keeping all measurements, writing everything down on the table, so we have everything. When we're done, we can put them back exactly how they were, as well as everything's fully labeled on the bar and on the misline, or the bungs for the heims. That way everything goes back exactly how it was. Alright, so we did just get the links all fully welded and just back on the 4Runner here. Give you a quick little look here. Everything is rosette welded, fully welded all the way around. Let's see here. So now what we're going to do, we're going to drop it down to full bump. We're gonna start mocking up our King hydraulic bump stops, as well as finishing up the sway bar. We're going to rotate it all the way up so it's at full bump, and we're gonna figure out our axle tabs and the rods that connect it. That way everything has proper clearance through the full cycle of the suspension. So with the size tires that we have, the 37s, we are not able to fully tuck in here as nicely as we would like. So we are going to do a very small trim. We're just gonna do a 1/2 inch all the way around, follow the factory body line, just to open it up a little bit and just get the complete full stroke of the shock. That way we're not losing out on any wheel travel or anything. We'll do a nice clean cut, and this whole truck is going to be bed lined again, a clean fresh white bed liner when we're done. So we're gonna go ahead and it'll turn out really nice, and you really won't be able to tell the difference, but it'll just have all the up travel and flex possible. Alright, so now I'm going to show you guys, trimmed up the bumper so we have some clearance. Got the fenders clearancing all the way around, stopped it just where the tire's going to just barely touch. Has a little bit there. We're going to go ahead and finish mocking up the sway bar so it's like full bump, so everything will clear at flex all the way up and it'll droop out just fine. Then we're going to jack the truck up probably a little over 1/4 inch, maybe 1/2 inch off the tire, to allow for when the rear axle flexes up into there, the tire will go a little bit higher than it is when it's bumped out straight. So now you can see the shocks have just a tiny bit of shaft left when the body starts to touch. So that's the perfect spot to start mocking up our king bumps, which we're gonna squeeze right in here somewhere, not sure yet. So we're gonna go ahead and line up the sway bar right now, which is what he's starting to do on that side. Alright, so today we're going to be working on mounting these King hydraulic bump stops. So right above the axle on this frame truss here, we're going to snake it through. We're going to be able to weld it top and bottom, and it should go through just like that. And we're going to be able to build a little landing pad because it is still sitting a little bit high off the axle. So we're going to build a nice little box there for it to come up and land on. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna plasma through here. We're gonna get all the way through, and we're gonna drill a little service hole on top here through the body, so that way you can get to the nut and the valve stem there, so you can adjust the pressure in it. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna cut these out and get it to slide in there ready to weld in place. Alright, so here we do have the holes cut out. As you can see here, we're gonna slide the bump stop in there, tack it in place. This side as well. We're gonna slide the bumps in, tack them in place, and then we're going to raise the truck up and we're gonna get them fully welded so that way we have some room to get in here and weld them. And then we're going to start building our little box bump pad up to it so it's all at the proper height. Grab this for you, little. Got me good, it bit me. It bit me. All right. We are Alright guys, so here we are. We got the rear sway bar in place. We got the bump blocks built, welded to the axles. We have the King bump stops, hydraulic bump stops, going up through the frame. As you can see, poking out the top here. Let me peek over here. You can see in there and there. We walk around, show you guys a little bit better view real quick. We're about to move on to the front for our next video. Let's see here. All right, let's check it out. So we got our bump blocks made here. Bump stops going through the frame. I got our links fully welded all the way around, fully adjusted. The alignment's done. Rear fenders are cut so they tuck nice and cleanly. We have the springs adjusted for the ride height. We have all our misalignment spacers properly adjusted and tightened down top and bottom. So the only thing left to do in the rear here is limit straps. We did measure them. We're going to order them as soon as we figure out the front cycle and measure the front. We'll get them all ordered. So that's gonna go ahead and be a wrap for the rear suspension until we get the straps in. Here's a top view. So that's gonna wrap up the rear end of the 4Runner. We're gonna go ahead and do the next video. We're gonna cycle the front suspension, get it bumped out, get the straps all the way around. And then from there, we're gonna build the engine crossover bar. So that's gonna be a wrap for this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll keep you posted on the next one. Peace out.